Hello and welcome to an art time-lapse video. In this time-lapse I'll be drawing my Dracostryx again because I've been really into this art RPG and I'm drawing a lot for it, obviously. Right here I'm making a sketch. I'm kind of just messing around with ideas right now, though I do get a little too detailed for just an idea. I need to work on actually sketching out full compositions before going in, but oh well. I get it right in the end. Here's another sketch. And the prompt for this one was to... what was it again? Give me a second. Oh yeah, it was called Control, and it was basically just drawing your dragon, like learning how to move on its feet, but not as a baby would, but more like training its agility and how it can jump, and if you have one that flies, how it can learn how to start controlling its flight. So the prompt was to draw your Strix like gliding if it was a flying type. Mine isn't a flying type, so the prompt for it was basically to draw it jumping over something or running through obstacles or something like that. Kind of like the first challenge in a way, where the first challenge was to draw your Strix learning how to walk. This challenge is kind of the advanced version of that, where it's learning how to do more agility based stuff. At least for the running types. If you have a flying type, it's probably a little more complicated than just running. I have some trouble getting the angle that I want to draw Rocky at. I wanted to draw him coming straight on at the camera to kind of show his size and how he's grown, and to capture the movement. I think this is the final sketch that I go with. Yeah, I get him jumping up in the air. Since he's like a velociraptor kinda inspired creature, I imagine he can jump very high with his powerful legs. I have a trouble getting things symmetrical, so I like to flip things around sometimes. You won't see me flipping things very often, but only sometimes I do. But when I do, it is helpful. Here I start kind of lining the background elements, the wavy grass, and eventually the broken down fence that Rocky is jumping over. I tried not to get too crazy with the background. I just wanted it to have some detail. But I do feel like it actually feels like part of the picture, unlike the second training entry I did, because in the second training entry I decided to add a background at the last second, while in this one the background was a part of the finished sketch and all that, instead of just being added on at the very end. Which is what you probably should do, is to draw everything at once instead of adding on things as you go along. At least if you want something kind of cohesive. Unless if you're like really skilled at making compositions and stuff, then you can probably do it just fine. I have trouble drawing these straight lines, and I know I could have just used the line tool and made them perfectly straight, but they wouldn't have had the same kind of charm as drawing them by hand. Plus, I didn't want them to be perfectly straight. I wanted this fence to look kind of rotten, like it had been here a long time. So by making it like kind of wavy and taper in some areas, I think that added to the decaying feeling of it. At first I had an idea, I played with it a little bit, where it would be Rocky on top of like a rock or a stone or a boulder or something big, and Scott down at the bottom. Scott is his trainer, the human here that you see me drawing. But my original idea was to have him on that rock and have Scott down at the bottom and kind of have Rocky like jump on him. But then I realized that by this time in Rocky's life, especially since the last drawing I did, Rocky was pretty big. It wouldn't be like, he wouldn't be a good size to actually jump on the human because he would be too big and he would just kind of knock him down. And what I really wanted was to have him like as a baby, like jumping on him cutely and perching on his shoulders, like kind of looking at what he had, like maybe he had some food or something, and Rocky was like, ooh, I want some of that. I had trouble with this hand. I think I look up a reference here, which is why there's a pause, because I think I look up a reference or something. I figure out, or I take a break or something, and I get it. No, I took a break from drawing it altogether. It looks like I was like, nah, I ain't gonna work on that right now. Oh no, I did draw it. Okay, it was just too fast in the playback. This is sped up 16 times, and I believe it took about maybe 3 hours, 3.5. I forgot to check before I started this recording. Again, I'm having trouble drawing like straight, long lines. Zooming out a lot helps because you can look at your entire line instead of just a part of the line. But whatever. I get it in the end. Since it's springtime, in the Strix world at least, and I guess in real life here in the northern hemisphere, I drew all these pictures to be in the springtime because you get an AP bonus, or I don't really know what that stands for. I think it stands for action points, but it's basically when you do an action you get points for it, so I think that's why it's called that. I just figured that out. Or I'm just making up something and lying to you, but oh well. That's also why I'm drawing all these pictures at night, because my Strix here, Rocky, he's nocturnal, and he gets more points if he's depicted at night. It's his biorhythm. Here's a lesson I learned, is that if you're gonna do like a sky, you should do it on a separate layer than your foreground, because it's hard to not over like cross the streams, like get your colors mixed up and stuff. And in the future I did I did learn this, and I was like, I'm not gonna let that happen again because it was very difficult. Though I do think this picture turned out good. Or good enough, or whatever. See, I have a problem with the stars, like I have to go back and erase some of them because they ended up on the fence, and obviously the stars, they aren't just on the fence. I noticed that I do something that wouldn't be possible, probably not possible in traditional art, because I was talking to someone and I was like, man, I wish I could do like traditional painting, because I think it'd be cool to learn how to do it, but I was like, I'm a digital artist, so I'm used to the handicap, basically the handicaps you get as a digital artist. And one thing I noticed that with my shading, I do all the dark colors first, and usually in traditional you want to like build up from light to dark, and not go from dark to light, because it's harder to clean up things that way. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Here's the finished piece. If you'd like to see more, please check out my links in the description.